Along with the reveal of their new reality headset lineup, Pimax is also hosting a roadshow across multiple countries for people to come and try out their newest product. So today, we're outside for a change, and we're going to be doing something way better than just sitting at home and making a little video behind my computer. We're actually going to take the trip and make sure that we have a nice good view of what that Pimax headset actually is about. And after needlessly tiring myself out thinking being too late was the end of the world, we made it to the Pimax Roadshow event, where we met this guy. This is Joshua Scott's son. You may have seen him before in hit movies like Immersion, and Why a Kickstarter?
Why a Kickstarter?
But all jokes aside, Josh was amazing for helping us answer any questions and test out the pre-production devices for as long as we were there. And what a better place to start than a comparison between something I could never afford and something I could almost never afford. A visual comparison between the Varjo Aero and the Pimax Crystal. Now, of course, the Varjo Aero was nothing under expectation. This well-known top-of-the-line headset provides an insane pixel density and all features that you would expect using the built-in eye tracking. A bulky and expensive but well-built and sturdy piece of hardware showing you your VR space in the most detailed way. But it was a good palate cleanser for the comparison with the Crystal headset, which I tried out as soon as I got used to VR again. Initially, I felt the weight of this glorified multi-monitor stand, but after adjusting it for my huge head...
Whoa, dude.
I have a gigantic head, I'm just going to tell you that in advance. I felt like it wasn't uncomfortably heavy, and the head strap did a good job dividing the weight. Because this will be another standalone headset as well, the battery in the back may have helped a little with the weight distribution, but I soon forgot that even existed as I was wowed by the visual experience in front of me. Going from the Aero, I could immediately see why they compared the two headsets in this PC VR configuration, and it really felt like looking through the Aero but increasing your FOV drastically. It was like removing toilet paper rolls from in front of your eyes while seeing the same things, and in my opinion with slightly better contrast than what the Aero gave me. Now, the headset is not lightweight. Due to its sheer physical size and coming features, it still has quite the bulk to it, and you would not seek this one for its portability. But in the session time I had with this headset, it never made me feel uncomfortable, and it didn't strain my neck in any way. Though the Crystal I am wearing here is a pre-production model, it was already an insane viewing experience as the clarity and field of view really caught me by surprise. And with the help of their local dimming zones, the contrast almost made me forget I was looking at what are basically LCDs. Shadows were dark, and overall contrast and vibrancy was at a pleasing level and only added to the immersion. But very few consumers actually own a Varjo Aero, so we also took the time to compare a more known and way lower priced Reverb G2. The Reverb G2 was always a staple of affordable high-resolution virtual reality, and in simulation games it is the headset of choice for many people due to the price, comfort, and things like its impeccable sound quality. But the Reverb seemed somewhat lacking in pixel density compared to the Crystal, which took visual clarity to such an extreme that I noticed the game engine itself was my only way of seeing what is real and what isn't. The absence of any screen door effect and the relatively large FOV made me take my foot off the pedals for just a casual look around, enjoying the clear view through these lenses, these being another nifty feature on this Pimax Crystal. Because one of the things we also heard about the Crystal is the ability to swap the lenses for either an emphasis on FOV or the highest possible pixel density. I can also tell you that the magnets they will use for those lenses are plenty strong to keep them in place. I'm trying, I just don't want to break anything. Okay, that's quite the strong magnet then. And my worry of dust and grime behind them was solved with an intermediary piece of glass to keep the displays from making contact with anything it wasn't meant to. But what if you want to pay even less for your next headset? This question brought us to the Pimax Portal. A portable Switch Steam Deck kind of hybrid with full VR functionality due to its inside-out tracking cameras and the ability to handle 4K at high refresh rates. Initially, it looked very similar to how you would use a Switch, but the Android-based operating system and their claim at an overclockable XR2 made it look somewhat more like a Steam Deck in terms of handheld gaming. Apart from being relieved this thing actually exists, it also seems they did think about a lot of things to make it as consumer-friendly as possible. I wouldn't immediately think of going for magnets to safely secure the controllers of my console to the main body, but from what I could tell, they were some of the strongest close proximity magnets I have felt in a long time.
You're gonna... Okay. So straight pull is...
Just try to...
Whew. I am not gonna lie, that is... Well,
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not.
And overall, as a portable gaming device, it seemed familiar enough to think their huge list of features and promises could actually work out. Though I was not able to experience the general handheld gaming performance or most of their promised features of the device due to the time constraints and early production models, I did think it looked promising overall and maybe not as crazy an idea as I initially thought it would be. One thing I was able to experience though was the VR mode with the Portal. Something I was very curious about due to the almost Google Cardboard nature of this concept. But to my surprise, the main visual experience wasn't bad at all. Because you are splitting a 4K screen, you're kind of left with a little less than 2K per eye, and even though I thought it would be a lacking experience in the VR department, it surprised me with how well it tracked my head, and even the display quality wasn't bad and looked very similar to something in between the Quest 2 and Pico 4. Something Joshua also mentioned would be the aim of the standalone performance of this device. Now, there are still many features left to be added to multiple versions of this Portal device, and depending on the model you will choose, they say you could even expect things like mouth and expression tracking. This pre-production model was definitely not a show of all those features, but it did help me think a little bit more confidently about the future of this device. Both the Portal and Crystal are interesting concepts with each their own direction. Having tried, seen, and held the both of them in my own hands, it makes me excited to see what this will look like when it is all wrapped up. It looks promising overall, and if they do deliver on their promises, these devices could definitely find their place in the future VR market. I will personally remain open-minded and skeptical until I actually have a ready-to-rock consumer model in my hands to test out for a while. But thanks to Joshua, we did get a look at what is possible, and it may not seem all that weird to think about.